When many people think of Raven Darkholme, they think of a blue shapeshifter. If you are more familiar with the film version of her, you may even think of her scaly appearance, a purely cinematic addition to her look. Mystique has been a long-standing villain of the X-Men since the 1970s, though really she is more independent when it comes to her philosophy on good and bad. Mystique focuses more on what she wants and simply goes about the best way to get it, making her sometimes good and sometimes bad, but ultimately really neither. She is simply out for her own interests more than anything. She has used her mutant abilities to take the form of many different characters over the years, but just as she has frequently undergone outward changes, she has also gone character and power changes as well from a writing standpoint. Today we'll take a look at some of those changes made and additions given to her power set as we count down the top 10 superpowers you didn't know Mystique had. Be sure to stick around to the end of this list where I will have some bonus content coming your way. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Immortality. While this superpower hasn't been confirmed, I think after all this time we can assume it's highly possible without it having to be stated in the comics. If you haven't read anything X-Men or Mystique, you may not know that she has been alive for likely 200 plus years. She met her greatest love, the mutant Destiny, around the turn of the century when she already appeared to be a grown adult. The hard thing about Mystique though is because she can change her appearance, it's hard for us to determine just how old she is, and some have theorized that she could even be ancient in age. As her codename implies, she is a mysterious character. We don't even know if her assumed natural state and look are actually even natural. We may have never even yet seen Mystique's true face unchanged. She may not even have one. She may not even have been born a woman, who knows? Mystery, mystery, mystery. Number 9. Deception and distraction. While it may not seem like a superpower, Mystique definitely makes it feel like one at the level she works at. She has deceived even those that most would deem undeceivable. At one point she was able to create a situation wherein a whole town was deceived into attacking Wolverine after she deceived him by making him kill an innocent woman who he thought was Mystique in disguise. She also was able to use her level of deception and distraction to delay fights in order to get the upper hand on her assailants, by often transforming into a little girl. While you would think many would know that Mystique was messing with them, especially because some of them actually saw her transform, she is so convincing as a helpless little girl that she is often able to use this to gain that upper hand, seemingly innocent until proving just why she is so deeply deadly. Number 8. Grows clothing. I feel like this is one we should all know about, but it's an easy one to forget as well. I constantly forget about it until I am grossly reminded that oh yeah, all those clothes Mystique appears to be wearing are actually a part of her. This was a huge thing in the X-Men films, although in the Ultimate Universe this is actually very much not a thing. Mystique actually has to make sure that she has clothes, as she cannot like transform her body magically into clothes. What I've always wondered is when she takes off an article of clothing, like her jacket, does that mean she's like shedding skin? What's happening there? Number 7. Size altering. While Mystique may be able to change shape and size, this was originally limited to those who were around a similar build to her. Her powers in terms of changing shape were relatively limited when she first was introduced. Over time, however, Mystique has honed her shape-shifting power and has had more of her true potential unlocked. This happened during her time in the X-Men Forever comics when she saw her power level dramatically increased in the capacity of changing size. She was then able to make herself gigantic in proportion. Based on what we've seen here and there over the years, since this development, she should be able to adjust her size on pretty much an Ant-Man level. But unfortunately this seems to be a power that many writers leave unutilized, so it doesn't come up a lot. Probably because it would make her too similar to Ant-Man himself. And we'd all rather see Mystique shapeshift into everyday looking people or mutants most days, rather than, you know, giant versions of them. Or giant versions of herself. Or microscopic versions of herself, or really tiny versions of herself. You know what I mean. Number 6. Improvisation and acting. Many may think it would be easy to be villain Raven Darkholme. All you have to do to be the good guys, or when you're being good, the bad guys, is shapeshift into someone else and everything is pretty much almost done for you. But what people often forget is Mystique does not gain the memories of those she changes into. So her trickery and shapeshifting is more of an art than you'd think. Beyond looking like someone, she often has to play the role of the person she is imitating well enough to convince those around her. Sometimes people who know that target intimately. And she's managed to successfully pull this off on multiple occasions, even when the person she's imitating is like a genius scientist, or even if she's convincing the romantic partners of those she imitates in the bedroom as well. Phantom X seemed pretty convinced when she slept with him while under the guise of Psylocke, so. Number 5. Shapeshift into animals. Not only can Mystique shapeshift into other beings, but once her power level was increased in the comics, she also found it possible to shapeshift beyond humanoids. She could give herself tentacles, turn into animals, give herself wings, and even once turn into a sheet of paper in order to survive an explosion, making oneself almost two-dimensional and as flat as a sheet of paper is pretty impressive. Though thankfully that sheet of paper didn't catch fire in the explosion. I feel like, there'd be a risk of that. While in the comics she did not possess this level of shapeshifting abilities immediately, in the X-Men Evolution animated series she started off being at this level with her powers. Mystique has even used her shapeshift abilities to make internal changes to her body, shifting vital organs around to protect them from getting damaged from injuries. Number 4. Super strength. What some people might not think about is the fact that Mystique has been shown to shapeshift on a molecular level. What does this mean for her abilities? It means that she can adjust her strength levels pretty much as she sees fit, and that when she appears to have more muscle, it's not just for show. She can actually use that muscle. Because of this, we have seen Mystique both while disguised and while not disguised do all sorts of crazy things. She once caught a kick from Sabretooth and tossed him through a window like a rag doll, and she has killed people with one punch. And she even one time broke Forge's cybernetic leg with a single kick. Ouch. Number 3. Healing factor. While her healing factor isn't super powerful, it still exists. Let's not forget that Mystique's mutant powers allow her to change appearance, changing her body. By extension, she can also use the same power to heal non-lethal wounds by closing them up. This ability does require a good amount of focus and energy on Mystique's part, however, which is why the idea of healing something more serious is so difficult. The injury itself would take energy and focus away from her. It has been stated before in the comics, but very rarely, leaving many to ponder on if her healing factor is really a thing, as it's not really super consistent. But for those who doubt, I'll remind you that Mystique is pretty old, and she isn't one to shy away from the fight, leaving us to believe that she must have a healing factor if she has been in physical fights more often than not during her lifespan. And I think we can all agree that she likely has. She's pretty much consistently fighting people. Number 2. Telepathic immunity. During Mystique's series of the same name, Mystique Ultimate, we get a more in-depth look at Raven's mind and abilities as she works alongside Charles Xavier. One thing we learn from her close interaction with Charles is that her mind is basically unreadable when it comes to telepathy, adding to her ability to become, well, just about anyone. Charles himself attests that her mind is too chaotic to read, too erratic. It's like it's constantly being reshaped and reformed. So apparently her shapeshifting abilities also grant this secondary telepathic resistance as well, guarding her against being easily found out while under disguise. If you want more insight into just how much work goes into wielding this power and honing it, you should check out X-Men Black, Mystique, which delves into Mystique's perspective when it comes to all that is involved behind the scenes. Number 1. Scent altering. For all of her time in the comics, Mystique definitely is the type to hold grudges, and definitely see them carried forward throughout. One such person she has had a big issue with throughout her history is Wolverine. These two have been on and off again lovers, enemies, and occasionally partners for at least 90+ years. We see them meet in the 2003 Wolverine series in 1921 Mexico, bonding over the fact that they are both prisoners sentenced to death. Their long-standing relationship would at one point end in Raven's death at Wolverine's hands as revenge for her sending him to hell. Her death, of course, was short-lived, because comics. Her body was recovered and auctioned off to the hand who resurrected her. When she returned from the dead, she was even more powerful than ever, and while her scent could normally be used to give her away, even while disguised to Wolverine, who had even used her scent to track her before, she now possessed the ability to adapt her scent to those whose form she took, making her an even more powerful shapeshifter, nigh undetectable. Can't detect her thoughts, you can't detect her smell. What can you detect? Nothing. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. If you enjoyed this list as much as I enjoyed writing it, and you love the complex mutant character that is Mystique, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. What is your favorite flaw or asset of Mystique's? Who do you ship her with? Which power addition or change do you love the most for her? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Superheroes Who Won by Accident. Great and powerful Oz comments. Red Sonja is one on the cosplay list I'd like for Amanda. Also Scarlet from Mortal Kombat 11, as her voice is very gothic and vampiric. You think my voice is very gothic and vampiric? Ooh, I love it. Also, you are in luck. I am literally putting together a Red Sonja cosplay as I speak. Should be ready in March, and there will be photo sets. If you ever want to support my cosplay journey, you should be sure to check out all my socials for all of those updates. Cyrus Stalkers 2099 says, I hope we see Miguel Spider-Man 2099 without his suit on at least once in Spider-Verse 2, cause that dude does not have a friendly neighborhood appearance like Peter has. I hope we get to see Miguel unmasked as well. Also, I'm super excited that he is likely going to be prominently featured in the sequel. Do you think he'll be the new main character, or will the story still center around Miles? I'm kind of hoping each film has its own like Spider-Verse group, and then we'll get one where they all meet up and take on an even bigger multi-universal threat together. Like the Inheritors. I know I'm the only one that likes them, but think they're awesome. Energy vampires. And that's all the time we have for comments today. For a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future video, be sure to comment below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you, as always, to stay nerdy, YouTube.